Chapter 22, King Alpha. They kept climbing down. At the bottom there was light. A hallway went curving off in both directions. Not very bright lights dotted the long hallways. There was a gorilla at the bottom of the hole. The gorilla had a top hat with curly hair coming out of the bottom and round sunglasses. He looked like a gorilla dressed like Slash for Halloween. He greeted everyone. Perry exited the hole into the hallway and laughed. "Hey, what's up, Slash?" The gorilla looked at him. "How you know my name?" Tony and Elle exited. Perry laughed again. "Look, man, it's Slash." They looked. They had experienced so much craziness in the past few days that a gorilla dressed like Slash seemed pretty normal to them now. When Clone Perry entered the hallway, Slash grabbed him. He held his face in his hands. Hey, man, they cool, Jimmy said. "Clone," Slash said. "No in." "Man, take them to the guest room, man. Just lock them up, man. We'll be back soon," Jimmy said. Axel agreed. "Take the dumb humans and the dog into the guest room. Smart humans, come with us. Leave your packs." "Man, take you..." The humans looked at each other. They were pretty sure that these apes weren't going to jack them or anything. But you never know. All their stuff was in those packs, including their guns. They relied on those for safety on this side of the fence. Slash grabbed their packs and took them to the room. Tony thought about grabbing a gun to take with him, but decided against it. He felt safe enough. They went with their gut and didn't upset the scene playing out in front of them. Axel grabbed Perry's face and held it up to Slash. "Smart human," Axel told the greeter. "Where's King at?" "Moss Tree. King challenged by Big Flea." "Oh crap, man, I forgot. Let's go, man." Jimmy was excited. "Come on, humans, you'll like this," Axel said to the smart humans. As they quickly walked down the underground hallways, Jimmy explained. "Man, King fight, man. Wait, if you want to be king, you gotta be an ass kicker, man." "They're having a fight to be the alpha?" Tony thought out loud. "Oh shit," Perry thought. "That sounds scary," Elle noted. "No, it's normal," Axel said. "We love it." "Yeah, man. It's like a human vote, man, but it's way more fun, man," Jimmy declared. "And no cheating like human voting. It's a fair fight," Axel added. All the humans looked at each other and shrugged like, yeah, makes sense. There wasn't an election in human history that wasn't tainted by some sort of cheating. They all knew that. They turned down a few more hallways. Soon they could hear what sounded like a sports crowd. It got louder as they walked closer. Then the sound mixed with a rumbling. All of a sudden, it felt like they were walking through the tunnel under a football stadium filled with a crowd just before kickoff. They walked under a carving on top of the wall. "Moss Tree," it said. Axel looked back over his shoulder at the humans with a big grin on his face. The grin said, "I bet you can't wait to see this." The door opened. They could hear the crowd was rowdy. They weren't cheering or anything. It was just a pumped-up sports crowd. The humans walked a few feet down a hallway before Moss Tree opened up and they could see the space. It was sold out, whatever it was. It was indoors, had a dirt floor, and what seemed like leaves created the walls and spherical ceiling. The floor was circular, about the size of a high school basketball gym. It didn't have any seats. Everyone on the floor was standing. But all along the walls were branches that came out of the leaves, and the branches served as seats, all the way to the roof. Monkeys easily traversed the walls like walking on the ground. It looked like some of the best seats were up in the branches. Tony thought, wow, that's a nice way to maximize space. Perry looked up in amazement. Wow, that's fucking cool. Elle just looked around with her mouth wide open. In the middle was a circular ring. No ropes or cages, but it was a big ring. Like 2 or 3 boxing rings or UFC octagons put together. The edge of the ring was lined with gorillas, laughing, yelling, punching each other with friendly punches, drinking from brown cups, spilling everywhere, throwing things up into the higher seats. The whole place smelled like a hot box. All different types of apes and monkeys were everywhere. More apes than monkeys, though. Attention shifted towards the humans. All of the humans' hearts dropped. Oh shit, went through their heads. Axel grabbed them. Keep moving, Jimmy continued. Out of the way, man, out of the way. They scooched out of the way. Looking behind, a gigantic gorilla ducking to enter the hallway behind them. He filled the hall. He had his game face on. As he walked by them, he looked at all 3 humans and bared his teeth. To Elle, it felt like the Alien 3 poster, and she was Ripley. When he fully left the hallway into the arena, he looked left and right and pounded his chest with a thunderous force, and the crowd erupted. Mostly cheers, but some were booing. A couple pieces of poo flew by his head. He looked around and roared. The roar shook Mosh Tree. Jimmy jumped off Axel's shoulder and onto Perry's shoulder, in between Perry and Tony, and he yelled over the loud crowd, "That's Big Flea, man!" Big Flea made his way into the ring, the sea of apes parting in front of his path. Gorilla slapped him on the back. He got to the ring, he jumped up and down, and quickly sprinted back and forth to the other side. He took both fists and pounded the ground. It was a display of impressive gorilla strength. Tony looked at Elle. Her eyes were wide open. A little fear and a lot of uncomfortableness and questioning were in her eyes. Tony looked the other way at Perry. He had $1 million smile. Jimmy was on his shoulder, hitting the joint. Perry continued to smile. Jimmy put the joint in Perry's mouth, and he hit it. He gave a big thumbs up as he hit the joint that the spider monkey was holding for him. He crossed that off his bucket list. They shuffled through the crowd and found a spot. On a low branch on the wall, only a few feet off the ground. Big and sturdy and surprisingly comfortable. They all sat down and their feet dangled above the crowd below them. Perry was looking left and right. Holy fucking shit, this is awesome! He was loving it. He leaned to Jimmy, who was still on his shoulder. Dude, can we bet on this shit, man? Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man. Jimmy pointed to the booth. And like a scene out of a movie, there was one single gorilla grabbing money from a crowd of gorillas in front of him and handing pieces of paper back to them. He was yelling odds or something they couldn't hear over the crowd. The attention switched to the opposite side of the arena. There was another hallway on that side. The moment a shadow stretched down the hall and was visible, the crowd got excited again. Monkeys who were on the floor jumped and ran up the walls to their seats. The betting booth emptied. A giant gorilla head emerged and the crowd went bananas. When he was fully in view, he stopped. He looked around and beat his chest with the quickness of a speed metal drummer on double bass. Then he roared with his entire body. It was an otherworldly roar. The crowd that was already going bananas went completely motherfucking bananas. They were so excited they were jumping and spinning around. Some were roaring themselves. Mosh Tree, the whole place was shaking. Elle covered her ears, it was so loud, even though she was halfway across the arena. This gorilla was a true motherfucking silverback. He walked through the crowd with more charisma than Big Flea, like a WWE wrestler, giving high fives back to his fans, pointing at monkeys and apes in the crowd. There were no boos in his entrance and no poo being flung. Tony noticed as King walked towards the ring, there were no timers, no judges, no referee. King was actually a bit smaller than Big Flea, but seemed a lot more likable. Soon as he hit the ring, though, his demeanor changed. He became deadly serious. He pounded the ground, one fist after another. He looked at Big Flea and his eyes widened. Both walked towards the middle of the ring. Big Flea held a fist over his head. King stretched his long arms and walked up to Big Flea. The crowd was getting louder and louder as he approached. King held up his fist and slowly moved it towards Big Flea's fist. The arena exploded with cheers as the fists touched. At the moment their skin touched, Big Flea threw a wild haymaker, attempting to make first contact. King seemed to know this first move and did a backflip out of the way with unthinking wisdom. The crowd fucking went ballistic. King looked to the crowd for a millisecond. Big Flea charged. King seemed to act like he didn't see it coming, then at the last second ducked and went under Big Flea's charge. The humans looked at each other. Whoa, what? Is this WWE? King even managed to land an upkick in the face as he went under Big Flea. The upkick didn't look like it was a massive hit, but it dazed Big Flea. He had to shake it off. King was done playing now. He took the center of the ring and pounded on his chest like, "Come on!" Big Flea charged again and they collided in the center of the ring like two charging elephants. The entire place rumbled with the impact. Dust flew, neither gave an inch. It was a battle of strength. Both had the other in a bear hug, and each had one underarm. It was an even stance. They battled for arm position, each trying to get underhooks, but it was a stalemate. Big Flea pushed on the ground with his massive feet and started to move King back. He roared in King's face as King began to be forced backwards. He kept roaring, and King bent backwards, being pushed towards the edge of the ring. The fans on that side of the ring moved out of the way just in case. King had to take a step backwards to keep his footing. Big Flea took a big aggressive step forward, trying to keep the momentum. But then King made his move. He was waiting for Big Flea to take a step, and in the short second Big Flea put one foot in the air, King swept his other foot. Big Flea's other foot was swept off the ground. His whole body flipped into the air. King shifted his weight like a sumo wrestler and slammed Big Flea to the ground. It was a massive, earth-shaking slam. It actually made the whole mosh tree waver. 1,000 apes and monkeys had to hold on to their seats. Everyone went crazy screaming. A Game 7 grand slam. A last-second touchdown. A three-pointer as time expired. Both massive apes were on the ground for a second, King's body on top. Then King slowly stood up. He looked down at Big Flea and put both hands together and raised them above his head. It looked like he was ready to deliver a knockout blow or a killing blow, or both. Big Flea had the wind knocked out of him and many broken ribs. He was laying there probably wanting to put his arms up in defense, but he didn't. King was about to lay down the final blow when Big Flea motioned with his head holding his ribs. He gave. King instantly turned his death punch into a hand and helped up Big Flea. The crowd was still freaking out. Everyone left their seats, running, climbing, collecting bets, and jumping around. King was at the center of all this, pointing and smiling at the crowd like he was The Rock. After a bit of celebration, King moved down into the crowd and pulled up Big Flea. They hugged. Big Flea said something in King's ear. They both laughed and pounded their chest. A celebratory party began right then and there. Some sort of monkey booze seemed to be the drink of choice, and it emerged everywhere. A gorilla handed a cup of it to Jimmy, who handed it to Perry and Tony. They smiled and drank it. It wasn't good, but it was strong. Tony offered some to Elle. She tried it and made a "ooh" face. Perry grabbed at it. "Don't waste the juice!" He started drinking it, grimacing but smiling at the same time. There was a lot of drinking, smoking, and worming. The sports crowd evolved into a party crowd. After a while of partying, it started to die down. Axel made his way to the group. Jimmy was telling the story of how they made his mini guitar. "Let's go," Axel said. They all went, talked about the crazy scene they just saw on the way back to the guest room. If Big Flea won, Big Flea would be leader, Axel said. In the hallway, they passed Big Flea. He wasn't naked anymore. He had a pair of human underwear on. Seeing Flea in just his underwear, it reminded Elle of another rock star, Flea. Oh, I get it. Big Flea. Oh, I get it now. Oh my, I can't believe I didn't get that, Elle said. What? I don't get it, Perry asked. Flea? The Red Hot Chili Peppers? The underwear? Elle hinted. Oh, Big Flea. Like he's a big flea. Awesome. Perry finally got it.